Hi, my loves. In this video, I want to share with you the single most effective way that I was able to heal my mind and my heart and my spirit from the really painful echoes of the abuse that I endured, some of the verbally abusive things that were said to me, the psychologically messed up things that came into my system. If you are familiar with this, if you are coming out of this experience and you know what I'm talking about, it can take a very long time for this to remedy. It can be extremely frustrating and wear us down after a while when we feel consumed or like there's certain things that are stuck in our systems that didn't come from us, these things that another person said to us that made us doubt ourselves, that made us not like ourselves. In some case, might even cause us to hate ourselves or feel a lot of shame. Just know things like this are commonly said by a narcissistic person in order to get their victims to hate themselves, because a narcissistic individual does not love themselves. That whole personality comes from an insecurity, a deep, strange and twisted shame. My therapist, who I was working with at the time, told me that a narcissistic person will dump their own shame into another person's system. Usually when someone's very empathic and very open, we have very open systems. We are able to experience and feel the feelings of other people around us, usually to a fault, usually a little bit more than what we should be allowing ourselves to feel. But narcissistic people will look for those with open systems as receptacles for them to dump their shame into. So what I found in my healing journey is the one place that I had a lot of control and agency over was how I felt about myself. At first, it didn't feel that way. At first, it felt like I had been told all of these crazy things that were so contrary to what my self-concept had been. However, there were roots of them that I had inside of me due to some insecurities that I grew up with. And some of that happened because, things like my caregivers had said to me, things that mean kids at school had said to me. I was more susceptible to, I guess, latching on to harmful words of an abuser later on in life because I was primed for that at a young age, and a lot of us were. So I look at it like those beliefs that we picked up when we were very young, and they become subconscious, like, oh, I'm insignificant, or my feelings aren't important, or if I express myself, I will be belittled. Or a big one is if I'm happy, if I'm successful, then that is going to upset someone else and bring about their jealousy. Or even like, I'm not worthy of a good, safe, healthy love. I don't know what that is. These experiences that shaped our beliefs are like little pockets. So it's like a little mouth in our energetic architecture that is the perfect receptacle for someone else's external projection to fit into. So a lot of people will call this a hook. You have to get the hooks out. Like there are hooks. There's an open door in your belief system about yourself that will allow a narcissist's belief system to enter that and like lock in. And oftentimes those are the places that are so hard to flush out. And typically what that person said to you can echo in your mind and eat away at your self-esteem. And normally we try to, pull it out, extract it, do visualizations or meditations that are resistant to it. But what I found is that typically doesn't work because we're dealing with a subconscious mind here. It has a different way of processing information. What does work is to continue to fill yourself with positive affirmations about yourself. Like, I am worthy of love. My feelings do matter. My community loves me. My friends love me. I'm a lovable person. The point is to decenter that person in your life. A lot of times we spend so much energy wondering what makes them tick the way that they do. Why do they behave that way? Are they or aren't they a narcissist? Really none of that matters in the end. It can help us to do proper research and help us understand what's going on in a very extremely confusing situation. However, the most important thing is that you don't want to continue siphoning your energy to this individual. The focus needs to come back on yourself, because your energy has been drained by this person and the spotlight has been on them for so long. Like, they've projected all sorts of insanity on you. You have probably projected so many good qualities and intentions onto them that are disproportionate to how they are behaving, and it's time for you to bring that back to yourself. Like, all of that compassion and love and forgiveness that you have put forth to this person, it's time to give that back to yourself and really see yourself for who you know you really are. And what starts happening when you do that is that you start healing from the inside out. It's like when you have a splinter stuck in you. I mean, sometimes you can pull it out, and sometimes, like a little piece can break off inside, and like after a while the body just has to kind of heal from the inside to push it out. And that's a bit of a metaphor as to how this works. When you have this open wound that correlates to how you see yourself in an unhealthy way, or there's a deep insecurity there, it is an open space for that narcissistic person to insert their own beliefs about you that match your own beliefs about yourself. So when you change those beliefs internally and you feel more love and compassion for yourself, and you begin to develop more trust for yourself, you begin to claim yourself as good and beautiful and intelligent and bright and present. You become more embodied. Oftentimes, these negative beliefs about ourselves can cause us to disassociate a little bit. And when that happens, we aren't as in tune with our actual physical senses. We aren't as in tune with our feelings and with our intuition. So when we do experience something and that narcissist will gaslight us and tell us, oh, that didn't happen, that's why we actually question it, because we've lost some sense of belief in our own faculties, or we have doubted ourselves so much that we give our agency to this person. So the more we become embodied and the more that we believe in ourselves, the more difficult it is for someone to assert their own manipulative agenda onto us. And the more difficult it will be for us to believe their lies and their insanity. And the more we affirm our knowing and ground into ourselves and build ourselves up from the inside, it's like it heals from within, right? And it starts to push out those toxic beliefs that were instilled in us from that narcissistic person, until it's almost like Teflon. Like, that person can keep coming at that angle, but there's nothing to receive it. There's no bad belief about myself that will take it in and hold on to it, because that's why it's so hard to extract. It's because there's a part of us that actually does believe what they say. Again, usually those beliefs are subconscious from childhood. We don't even know that they're there until someone has come in and we've accepted it, we've taken it in, and so there's this hook. So when we do those affirmations and change the way we subconsciously believe about ourselves, it starts to heal and fill that hole from the inside, and so there's like nothing there's nothing for that to grip onto anymore. It's just like whoop, and then someone can come along and they can say the same exact thing that that narcissistic person said that, was just devastating and heartbreaking to you, but just bounces right off because it's not true. Like at that point, it's not true. So doing self-concept work when you're healing from this kind of experience it's the key. It is the one thing that will give lasting results and make you impervious to those kinds of people. Now, granted, in life, we're never completely fully healed. We're never completely fully impervious, but we do get better and we do grow. And someone's going to come along and show you where you have other like wonky beliefs about yourself. And that's really going to trigger you. And then in that case, you start to rebuild your own integrity in that area that person's showing you, where you have wobbles in your life. And I'll also say that sometimes a narcissistic person will actually install bad beliefs about yourself that you didn't have before. But there might be just a general belief that other people know better than you, right? And so you trust that person. Or if you have an overly trusting personality, then one of these people can say these things to you and you will accept it because you're like, well, they love me. They see me more than anybody else. And why would they lie to me? So it's not necessarily that you actually have a belief that what they're saying is true. You just might have a belief that they are more confident, that they know what they're talking about more than you, or that you're not confident, you don't quite know. And so you have this person coming in that's like, you don't know. And you're like, okay, I guess I don't know. So focusing on your self-concept, re-establishing your relationship and your trust with yourself, coming back into your body and finding your confidence and your agency again is going to be the one thing that will push all of that bullshit out of your system. When I had this experience, it felt like I was listening to these meditations at night when I was sleeping, and I remember one morning I could hear the echoes of that person's voice in my mind, and I could also feel these big plates just falling off, like these metal plates. I know it's kind of weird, but it's how it felt. It's like in that subliminal waking up state, it just felt like these shells falling off of me that were associated with the things that this person had said. And I felt so liberated. And it was like, wow, okay, I held on to these beliefs and these insecurities that this other person instilled in my system. And it wasn't until I repeatedly pushed that out from the inside that it finally fell off of me. It's good to remember that humans are susceptible to repetition, and that's usually how a narcissistic person will get us. They'll repeatedly tell us the same thing over and over and over again until we accept it. Like our brains are wired to accept information that has been repeated to us over and over and over again. We start to trust it the more familiar it is to us. So we have to do the same thing for ourselves in order to rewire it. We have to, it's like breaking a bad habit. You have to repeatedly not do the thing you were doing. You have to do the new thing over and over again until, the neural connections change and you have a new neural pathway. It's the same thing you're working with here. So repeating positive beliefs and affirmations about yourself is going to disconnect you from what they were putting into your system and connect you to a healthy way inside of yourself. And so then there won't be a connection point, there won't be a receptacle there for them anymore. And it's also true if this is long in your past and you're still suffering from the echoes of what they're saying, keep doing this and you won't even think about what they said anymore. It will be long gone in the past. You'll be able to see that as just a projection of where they were at the time, a projection of their insecurities, and they were using you as a screen and you were accepting that. Keep being sweet to yourself, keep loving yourself, and eventually that person will just fade away. All right, sending you so much love, and I'll see you in the next one.